I'm here with Dr. Stephen Taylor, world-renowned professor in neurology and chiropractic work. He's going to tell us about KitCore Labs, the frequency imprint technology that he founded. Dr. Kit, how would you describe what is Ion Enhanced?
Well, enhance means to increase. And so what we're able to do is to take which is naturally there within product and increase the negative ions. Now what that means is, when is negative, what was that phrase we had? When is a negative a positive? Is when it's an ion. That was from Einstein or somebody. But at any rate, what we have in our world is ions are everywhere. And the ionic balance is the balance between the positive ions that we're primarily getting from the sun and the negative ions that we'd be getting from the earth. Now, with the changes that we've made to the planet, i.e. pollution, asphalt, concrete, rubber-soled shoes, etc., we are no longer as humans receiving the contact with the earth like we used to. The disease processes that generate just from that alone are enormous, from cancer to heart disease to mental illness. All of those are included in. There's over 100 years of clinical studies about ions and ionization. So the enhancement of it is if we can make it easier and more absorbable or more utilizable, I guess is a term I would use, to someone, the better. What we have done is we have taken this technology and we've put it into some life essential supplements and products that we need. One of those is B12, and B12 increases the part of the red blood cell that attracts the oxygen molecule. And we all know that oxygen is becoming less and less from what it used to be. I don't have the exact stats on this, but I do remember that it was within the last 100 years, those oxygen levels have dropped 10 to 12%. And that's a lot. That's a lot. So, at any rate, what makes this work so well is not only our technology that works in the cellular level and can increase absorbability by upwards to 30% with some products and other products at least 10 to 15%, is that we utilize a patented technology, a spray technology, and the absorbability is higher than intramuscular shot, higher than taking drops under the tongue, higher than rubbing something on the skin, taking a pill or a capsule. Most people don't know that if you take a pill, it's about 5 to 7, maybe 10% of absorbability. If your body's working well, a capsule is 12 to 15%, but whereas a spray is 90 to 95%, and through the buccal or the inner cheek of the mouth, you feel that directly into the bloodstream, and it's there within 20 seconds. The other beauty of this is that you control your dosage. The fact that this person, my body weight, as opposed to somebody who's thinner, or as opposed to somebody who's heavier, or who's younger, who's more active or less active or whatever, their utilization needs are going to be different. So to give them X amount, say here's 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, which by the way, if it's in a pill form, there's one little drop of vitamin C and the rest is just filler. And that's one of the psychological problems that we have out in the consumer world. Bigger is better. First of all, if you can utilize liquid or spray, it's going to be better than if you take a pill or capsule anyway. But the point being is that if I give this much vitamin C to somebody and they don't need it, then they're going to have the effects of too much. And that's not as bad as an overdose on a pharmaceutical drug, but it does have some uncomfortable effects. Whereas if I can take a spray, and we recommend to the adult to start with, is that you take one spray or 2 sprays each cheek, a total of 8 sprays a day. So you would just simply be doing it. And a few hours later, I'll do it again. Now I can taste it, it tastes great, and I can feel it immediately. Now for me, just in my metabolism and how my lifestyle is today, I found that in the beginning I needed more than I do now. So some days I'll take just 1 or 2 sprays a day. Other days, if it's a more stressful day or if I'm working out, I'll take more. So that's just the benefit of B12. The other thing that most people don't realize is that the first thing we need is air. We need oxygen. There's the B12. The second thing we need is water. We need good purified water, or there's all kinds of things we can do with water that's we don't do in our company, but I certainly support them. And the third thing we need is sleep. And this is again where people don't realize that your body's doing 70% of its healing while you're asleep. So the body has this beautiful hormone called serotonin. Serotonin is increased in the presence of negative ions. Serotonin is a strong anti-inflammatory. It's also a mood elevator. And the beauty of serotonin is when you go into a dark room for more than a few minutes, such as you're ready to go to sleep, it converts to melatonin. Now melatonin is again a very, very strong anti-inflammatory and a healing agent. And so this crossover conversion to melatonin is what allows us to get into sleep, particularly a deeper sleep than normal. But there's a challenge here. Again, it's because of absorbability and what we call microdosing. Microdosing has been utilized for centuries. We can go back and find, medical documentation of frequency vibration chambers and things where they used to take the sick so that they, started to change their internal cellular vibration. And that's basically what we're doing in healing, in energy medicine, and all of these various names for that we're doing today. But beyond that is that we take someone that has a deficiency in melatonin, or it could be a deficiency in something else. And we're going to talk about CBD here in just a moment. But I have found that with melatonin, some people that take our spray, some people take and utilize our product. I mean, the majority of them, I go, wow, that was amazing. I slept better than I ever had. And I found other ones that, about 20% that it took a little longer and they needed a little more. So I would encourage them, we'll take it as directed, 8 sprays an hour before bed, then at bedtime. But during the night, if you need to repeat that, repeat it. But within 3 to 4 or 5 days, that bell curve of melatonin or serotonin in your system is going to be at a high enough level that you won't need it nearly as much, and you can go back to a regular dose, or in often cases to even less than that. So we're here for you. We're here to, nobody knows your body like your body knows your body. I can make guesses at it. I can do scientific examination procedures and such like that, and ask certain questions, but only you know you. The other thing that we've done, and I'm very, there's a concern about it, and there's also kind of a pride thing to it with myself as well. But most people, they'll take CBD and the majority of people will have a positive experience for a short period of time. And they'll take more CBD, and then they'll notice that after a while it's not working at all. And you'll see this with the companies that have come and gone just in the short time in the last 5 or 6 years since this has been popular on the market. The challenge that people don't realize is that everything is receptor based. Everything in the body is receptors on a neuroreceptor. So we have a receptor for melatonin. We have a receptor, for vitamin C and for B12, and we have a receptor for CBD. Now, these CBD receptors, for the most part, even genetically passed down through the last several generations, have become weakened because of some things that were passed back in the 1930s, where we took hemp out of the picture. Now that we're reintroducing CBD, we're finding that whoa, this is an amazing natural antibiotic. I mean, it is useful as an antibiotic. It's not an antibiotic. Let's get that clean up. Antiviral. It's not an antiviral. Anti-inflammatory is what I meant. It is an amazing anti-inflammatory. And it does have positive effects when taken with antivirals and so forth, because it helps support the natural function of the body. But again, people take way, way, way too much, and they literally drown out the receptors, and the receptors either become less functional or even die. And I see people with these dropperfuls, and they say, yeah, this stuff works, but I got to take 3 dropperfuls a day, and so a bottle lasts about a week maybe, and it's expensive. So what we found is if we did the same thing with CBD, and CBD has an affinity for what our technology is that CBD, this would be normal. With CBD, it's like this. It just can't get enough of this ionization that we provide. So we take, and again, you can control your dose. And there's 50,000 micro droplets right there. It's going in through the buccal mucosa with 90% absorption within 20 seconds. I need this once, maybe twice a day. Other people need it more often. But again, I'm not physically as functional as other people due to previous injury and challenges. But I'm better than most, especially for what I've been through. One of the things that I would like just to introduce is making this tape. Most people don't realize the responsibility of what health is, and that health returns in cycles. So what you'll find is that over here, this is a normal health line, and there's not enough sleep, some over partying or whatever else is going on. But something dramatic happens. It can be an emotional challenge. It can be a physical painful challenge or a biochemical challenge. So it's like in myself, Agent Orange exposure or exposure to toxic chemicals. But there's a downward trend, and as you go down through this trend, there's various things that you try, but you always end up going even lower, or usually. When you start finding the underlying cause and causes of what the challenge is, then you can start to climb back out. And the thing that we find with almost everyone is that they're not producing neurotransmitters. We've got to get proper utilization of neurotransmitters to make the brain-heart-brain connection, brain-organ connection, all of those things start to work properly. But then we also have to go and find out what is the major challenge. Is it in this area, mental emotional? Is it in this area, the biochemical? Or down here in the structural? We have to do the integrated process of all systems within the body. So with KitCore and with Kitafied technology, we're all about what is called the central integrative state. Now the central integrative state, 2 different people were given Nobel Peace Prizes back in the 1930s. One Dr. Swearingen and one Dr. Kajal, 2 years apart, both for their work in the function of the human nervous system. They changed the whole belief of it. And there's an old saying, how can we send a radio message around the world in 10 seconds, but it takes 50 years to get a new thought through a 1/4 inch skull? What these gentlemen did in their research and what they brought forth was that it's not just a single pathway or up and down. There's, when something happens, I move that little finger right there, there's a whole load of integrated function that takes place. And this is with everything we do. So to simplify this, what Ion Enhancement is really where we started with this, and I do apologize. Ion Enhancement actually allows your baseline of the central integrative state to be higher. So basically, if you're functioning at -70 or at 70 millivolt, and you can raise that to say 85, and your goal is at 120, and this is getting into some involved neurology, but if we can start here, it is less energy to get here to make it happen. So our motto is real simple. KitCore is you enhanced, and it's achieving more by doing less. It's all about you. That's what we got.
Thank you so much. Beautifully said.